Not a matter of if, but when crisis will rock your world. I'm Roshini Rajkumar, crisis strategist, licensed attorney, and host of The Crisis Files. Today, we are not going to bust into crisis and prevent crisis. We're going to really ramp up the fun. A big reason is because we have broadcasting icon back in the studio, Holly Rowe. We're specifically dropping this episode as the Galaxy ramps up to the Final Four in men's and women's college basketball. Holly is no stranger to this world. What exactly makes Holly a GOAT? We get her insider tips for watching all kinds of games. Holly is here for the case file I call Trailblazer Holly Rowe.
Love that.
I'm so glad you do. I had fun putting it together. You're ESPN's lead reporter for college football, men's and women's basketball, and the NCAA championships. You did not get there by accident, and it's surprising maybe for some to know the whole time you've been a working mom and traveling all over the country, maintaining house and work. I mean, how does this happen? How does Holly Rowe happen?
You know, it's so funny because I think sometimes I look back and I actually do not know how it happened because I have these moments, like maybe some of your listeners will appreciate this, but I had just had my son and he was 8 weeks old, so you're a new mother, your body's changing, all these crazy things. And I got my first big break with ABC college football when my son was 8 weeks old. And I remember working this college football game. It's my big break. I really crushed it. I felt so good. And then I get home and I bought a brand new suit. I was so impressed with this brand new suit I bought. And I get home and, when you're a breastfeeding mom and you don't breastfeed in time, it was all over my suit. And I just remember thinking like, oh my gosh, what a day I've had. The height of my professional career and the low of reality of like, holy crap, I got to get home and feed my son. So I have done my entire, 30-year career at ABC and ESPN as a mom. And I'm proud of that because it hasn't been easy and you're juggling all these different things. And sometimes I look back and I don't know how we made it, but women are resilient. I know that we are the best multitaskers in the world. And I am proud that, my whole career has been as a working mother.
And 2026 marks your 30th anniversary covering college football for ABC, covering the college national championships. You really posted some fun videos, as you always do, but this year, that were very special about Indiana and Fernando. Tell us about what was so special about not only that team, but covering it this year, your 30th anniversary.
It was a really special college football playoff because there were a couple of different stories that I covered throughout the course of these games that were so beautiful. So the first story I'll tell you is Miami had a quarterback named Carson Beck who had been at Georgia for 4 years, tore the ulnar collateral ligaments in his arm, which, a lot of pitchers, that would be a Tommy John surgery. And 1 year later comes back and leads a new team to the national championship game. And Carson, I was on the sideline, and Carson ran it in right by me with 11 seconds left to win the semifinal game to get to the national championship game. And I just remember being really emotional in that moment thinking, man, that young kid has been through a lot. He has been through so much criticism on social media. People are awful to these young athletes on social media. And so for him to shine in that best moment, that was really special. And then I fast forward to the national championship game in Miami. And there's a moment in the game that Indiana's quarterback, Fernando Mendoza, who is one of the most unique and special athletes I've ever covered in 30 years. There's a moment in the game where it's a close game late in the fourth quarter, and he has this epic run. And, if you haven't seen it, you really look at a social media clip. Maybe you guys can link it.
It's absolutely worth watching. It's amazing.
And it's one of the best college football moments I've ever seen in 30 years of an athlete deciding he would not be denied in that crucial moment. But if you break that play down, and my favorite part of the play is his center has to absolutely sell out and fall on his face and get this guy out of the way so Fernando has an extra split second. And then 3 other guys have to absolutely sell out and give up their bodies to block the defenders. It wasn't just Fernando in that moment. It was the guys around him that allowed him to shine. And I think that what is so special about this Indiana team is that they all knew Fernando was playing for his mom, Elsa, who has multiple sclerosis. She is wheelchair bound right now. People may have seen her, on TV. They took a lot of cutaway shots of her. But his teammates knew his why and what was special to him. And they weren't just playing for themselves or each other or Fernando. They are also playing for Fernando's mom. And so I just thought what made this Indiana team so special is they truly loved each other. You could feel it. Like, I've been around a lot of championship teams in my career, men's basketball, women's basketball, football, WNBA, and typically championship teams, there is a feeling that you can't always put into words, but you can feel it. And I sensed that with Indiana this year. And in that beautiful moment where he ran it in for the touchdown, I got to be standing right there. And I literally turned to someone on who's like, that might be the greatest thing I've ever witnessed in my life. And I've seen a lot in sports, so it was cool.
And how amazing that you're watching it right there on the sidelines, right? I mean, you get one of the best views in the world, beyond a kind of a front row seat to that. You have been part of so many historic moments. You are historical yourself as a trailblazer. What is Holly Rowe's why?
Well, my why is, this is going to sound so dumb, but I literally grew up as a little girl who I have been obsessed with sports my whole life. In fact, I had a weekend off recently, and the first thing I did was look at my local sports schedule, and I went to a high school basketball game, and I went to University of Utah women's basketball game on my days off because I love sports. And so I had like a book report, like, tell us about yourself or what are your hobbies, when I was 12 years old, and I still have it. And it says, I love anything to do with sports, especially college football. And I just love that this little girl, my why has been the same since I was 12 years old. I love sports. And I think why I love sports, to break that down even more organically, is we are seeing someone overcome a crisis every second of every game. There is something that happens, or an injury or a moment in their career, and that happened, and that we get to see a transformational moment when it's really hard. And I think I'm just addicted to that dopamine and that feeling of watching people overcome hard stuff. So that's my why. I love sports, and I love watching people be very inspirational and overcome hard things.
Well, that is a wonderful twist, and I love how you connected it to Crisis. We love that on the Crisis Files. You're right. There are so many possibilities that crisis could happen every second of every game. And there is also that triumph that I think we can get addicted to sports because it's the triumph. Obviously, one side loses if it's a two-sport game or two-team game, but the triumph. And one of the beautiful things about sports and why I love so much is, regardless of your creed, your state, your city, your country, your color, sport brings you together. That team brings you together. We all get behind. And I would say I was not really an Indiana fan before, but I wanted Indiana to win the 2026 College National Championship. And I think most of the world did. That cared about football
because they were underdogs.
Yeah.
I think that there were so many kids that started out. There were 13 young men on that team who were not recruited highly, started their career at James Madison. And then they transferred into Indiana when Curt Cignetti, their head coach, went to Indiana. 4 of those guys were starting on defense, and they were the most essential part of that defense. So if you think about the best defense and best team in college football, nobody wanted those kids when they were starting their career. Literally nobody.
And it's such a story in the underdog, like you say, and we all can overcome.
Us against the world. And I believe in myself. They had a kid on that team named Elijah Surratt. He was their leading wide receiver. And Elijah told me, he ended up going to, I think it was St. Francis. It's like a very small Division II school, not a lot of people have heard of. Literally no one in college football in Division I wanted that kid. And he said, I just kept believing in myself, because when I would play against guys that were going Division I felt like I held my own. And so I never gave up on myself, because I felt like I could be good. And now there he was as the leading receiver of the national championship team. And now he'll go to the NFL and he'll make money. And nobody believed in that kid except he did. And I will never forget that.
Wow, you gave me another chill moment, because I recently was asked, what is one lesson that a mentor of someone has said as you've built your business now. I'm in my 20th year of my business. And I said, the best advice I got was never give up on yourself. And that has played out, borne out. It's so true. Even if you're the only one. And wow, that young man was that only one in some moments that believed in himself. But thank goodness he did. I mean, what a triumph, what a victory. Well, I need to...
And there's stories like that all along that team. So that's why I think a lot of people resonated with them, of like the ultimate underdog team.
Well, you have so many accolades, one of which being in 2021, you made history as the first female analyst for the Utah Jazz. I know that's your home state. It's a special state. My number one team are the Timberwolves, but when I was growing up, actually the Utah Jazz, I was a John Stockton fan. That was my second team. And so how fun that you cover them. You have said that your journey's been cool. You've called it a privilege. I think we can see from the outside, I mean, covering things like running of the bulls, volleyball, swimming, the World Cup. Why do you say you've been privileged?
Well, number one, I always feel sort of guilty saying this, except for I have worked really, really hard for this privilege, but this is my privilege. I get paid to watch sports. All of us in the whole world.
And you don't have to you don't have to put on the suit, the armor, and get tackled. I mean, you get to still watch.
I get paid to go and watch sports. And, I have worked really hard behind the scenes to get those opportunities. I still work really, really hard to make sure that I'm at the best of my game. So I get to be the one that goes and tells those stories. So, as we tape this, I'm getting ready to do the women's college basketball Final Four. And I look at these teams, UConn is a team, South Carolina, Texas, UCLA, like you could go down all of the young women on these teams, and there would be all these incredible stories of hardship that they've overcome. I'll tell you one quick story of a team that you'll be seeing in March Madness is Azzi Fudd is on UConn. Azzi Fudd was this really highly ranked high school player, and she tore her ACL. And I have a picture of her knee. It's all gnarled up. She has had 2 knee surgeries on this knee. She gets to UConn. She gets hurt again early in her career, and she goes over 800 days without playing in a college basketball game. And she doesn't quit, and she doesn't give up. And now here she is on this UConn team that might be one of the best teams we've ever seen in history.
Which says a lot because it's UConn.
Because it's UConn, and they've made their own history with so many national championships. So I just love that this time of year is so special because we see teams that we didn't expect. We see women who've overcome a lot. We see coaches who've overcome a lot shine in these moments that we never expected. And I think March Madness, I think everyone will agree with me. It is a magical time of year. We all love the Cinderella story, the upset special. And I just think this is a really cool time of year, particularly, we will crown a national champion in Phoenix. And it is so cool and so special. And I'll get to be there in that moment. Last year we crowned UConn and they had not won a national championship since I think 2014. It had been over 10 years since the great Gino Auriemma had been a national champion. And to interview him in the postgame and have him break down in tears because it is so hard to be a national champion. And they finally got back there and he said, I didn't think we'd ever get back here. And to hear a coach of his caliber, doubt himself. I mean, it's just a really cool, special time of year that I love showcasing and highlighting for people.
Well, and it's such a reality check because someone like that says that the young woman who on day 700, let alone 800, I mean, I would be really, ready to pull out my hair at day 50 of that. So right. 800 days of not playing. I mean, just so amazing. Let's do a little future casting for you. What has Holly Rowe not covered or not done yet that she really wants to do in this dream career of hers?
Yes, I've been lucky enough to do almost everything I've ever wanted to do. My last item on my bucket list is the Olympics. Because I have worked for ESPN and ABC most of my career, the Olympics are owned by NBC. So one day, God willing, someone at NBC will see this and hear this.
NBC,
and be like,
we're calling you, Holly Rowe.
Holly Rowe will make your Olympic coverage better. I can promise you that with my whole life. So one day, I hope I get to cover an Olympics. I think that would be maybe
I'm
like the
thinking
cream
ABC
on
might
the
loan
top.
you out. I mean, could we work that deal?
Yes.
Yeah.
Please.
I'll offer myself to negotiate that for you. I
Please.
think
Let's put that out into the universe.
that would be amazing. Well, Holly Rowe, such a joy to have you on the Crisis Files. Can't wait to continue to just watch all of your coverage. And, athletes love you, your fans love you. And, my guess is that Joy Journal that we talked about with you in case file number 186, Joyous Holly Rowe, that should hopefully become a book one day, if you're not already thinking about it.
Yeah, that's a good idea because, I am living these very incredible moments and these precious, behind the scenes things in sports that I think people would find very interesting. So I'm glad you say that. And thank you for having me. I love being able to share. I'm not perfect. I haven't learned everything, but man, I'm having a really interesting, fun life. And I'm really joyful to be covering sports. It makes me so happy. And hopefully we get to share a little bit of that joy with you.
Absolutely. And we are grateful for you because it is important that the world sees women on those sidelines, on those courts. Now, to me, it's just natural. It's not even as big of a deal. But you are one of those reasons why it's natural that women are in sportscasting and you're on those sidelines. And it's just as likely to see a woman interviewing someone who's 7 feet tall after a game than a guy. So that is awesome. We so look forward to more coverage. Thank you for gracing us with your presence on the Crisis Files. And here's to Holly Rowe, Trailblazer Holly Rowe. Follow Holly on Instagram and X at Sports Siren. If you haven't already, check out Holly's first appearance on the Crisis Files in case file number 186, Joyous Holly Rowe. Find out how her joyous foundation sparks joy in those who need it most. Today's case file is powered by Mall of America. Mall of America. Great shopping. A dazzling and dizzying variety of attractions and restaurants. Did you realize Mall of America also hosts hundreds of events each year? Everything from high-fashion runway shows to visits from the hottest musicians. Pop-up celebrations ahead of movie premieres. Charity-related walks and holiday-themed experiences. You never know what you will find at our mall. For upcoming events and happenings, check out mallofamerica.com. Rate, review, and subscribe to The Crisis Files on your platform of choice. Follow us on YouTube and Instagram at The Crisis Files. Visit thecrisisfiles.com for all 4 seasons of the show. I'm Roshini Rajkumar. Join me next time on The Crisis Files.